peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today it's going to be something really exciting. I'm going to be doing a project breakdown based on the video you just watched, and it's a personal project and something I was really excited to do. I'm here to just show you how I get to achieve that, from the storyboard to the illustration and then down straight to the animation. A lot of things to learn from here, a lot of techniques, a lot of probably new tools you might add to your tool set. So make sure you watch to the end so you can really get and understand how I get to achieve all of this. And if you just want to look through the interesting parts, you can just use the tags and jump right straight to the scenes you are interested in, and you can just simply watch and move on from there. Don't forget, the project file will be in the link in the description. If I get to the project file, it will be supporting me to keep doing what I'm doing, and I actually want to do this as often as possible, so it will be really nice if you guys can get the project files. But apart from you supporting me, you're actually going to learn a whole lot more by dissecting to the project files. So if you're new to my channel, make sure you do subscribe, and of course click on the thumbs up button so that it can really help the algorithm. And I'll see you guys after the video. Thank you. Yeah, so this is actually the mood board, right? These are some of the ideas I was able to gather from Pinterest online in terms of how I really wanted to communicate this. So you can see how this was able to influence some of my decision making in the video. So this is practically the mood board. So this is actually how I get to come up with my own ideas. So I really hope this helped, and now we need to go straight to the illustration. From the illustration we'll go straight to the animation. Yeah, so I'm going to start with the storyboard, and this is how I get to develop the storyboard, right? Try as much as possible to do something that will look like the final result, and these are just simple shapes and all, and some are just really ideas, right? This is not exactly the way it look in the animation, but at least it's giving me the idea of what I really want to do. And in this, I was just looking for, when I picked this particular Bible verse, I was just looking for a design that speaks peace, that something that looks really peaceful, that really passes across the message. And I just thought of making it black and white, because without colors there's nothing shouting at you, there's nothing really getting your attention. So some form of way it kind of communicate peace in that theme, and I was looking for little cues to also communicate that. So here I was just looking for like a board that comes in to start the entire show, and then to just introduce the word peace. I need like a very strong introduction to the word peace. And yeah, I also came up with the two circles that introduced the piece. Also, they came together, like just come together and then burst out into something, and then just to introduce I live with you. So in a way, it's kind of communicating you are not alone, people with you. So this particular part, the concept here is my peace I give to you. So the concept here is this part looks like hand, though it's like hand like with the three fingers, but when you are giving somebody something with your hand, like with your palm, you lay it down with your hand and say, oh, you can have it, right? I'm actually doing a lot of demonstration here, but you'll not be able to see me. But just imagine you're trying to give something to someone with your hand and thing on your palm, basically, right? That's like the whole concept here. And when I say I give to you, so you can see how the thing will drop in to other things. Yes, and then now introduce this contrast just to show you when in the past said not as the word gives. That means the word has its own form of peace, but God's peace is actually very different, and that's what the contrast is here. So you can see how God was giving you its own peace from the illustration, and then when you get to the part where the word gives, when we now have the part like the word can also give its own peace, that's why I actually bring in the contrast here, right? And here I just wanted to hone in on the text. I have some things surrounding the text just to call our attention to the text. Let not your heart be troubled, right? I didn't want to do show and tell here to show heart or anything, but I just want another creative way of communicating that. And then neither let it be afraid, just to show. At the end of the day, I cut straight to the white background here, but just to show that, okay, you know what, this white transition will mean the fear, it's disappearing, and God's peace can take care of it, basically, right? Kind of abstract, but I want to believe it passes across the message, and that's how I get to develop all of this. And all of these are just simple, circle shapes, path, nothing really complicated. I think the only thing that probably looks complicated are all these ones, and honestly, these are just like simple brush strokes and all. Yeah, I'll make this available in the project files if you're interested, so you can take a good look at them, and then if you want to use them for maybe come up with your own design or something, you're free to do so. But basically, this is how I get to achieve this. All right, so I'm going to start with the first scene here, and as you can see, I have this long ball with the lines here. So let me just solo my background first. So this is my white background, right? All of these are just sound design, and then my storyboard, which there's really no need for that here. And then the second thing I have here is the path. Can you see the path? Right, the one on top here, this shape here is the ellipse on top of it, as you can see. So let me show you how I get to achieve this. So if I open up let me uncheck this and then click on the path here. So as you can see, I have two line thing here. And how did I get to achieve this? So let me solo the one under first. You can see this. So if I click on this, you can see the effect that I stacked on it. So if let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this, and also uncheck this. So if I uncheck the mirror and then uncheck the wave warp, you can see that this is what I have. I now have a simple linear animation, linear wipe animation. So the linear wipe is just to wipe out anything on the composition. So if I activate the wave using these settings, this is what I have. The wave automatically animates, and it's wiping up because I have the linear wipe on top of it. Then I also activated the mirror. So the mirror will not just show the two lines, it's going to mirror them, and that's why can you see that it's going this way. And practically what I did was to duplicate and then offset. So I offset the one on top. So that's why I have this kind of result, and it looks really, really, really interesting. So if I go back and then activate this, so I was able to position this really well. So since this is a position animation, it's actually I parented this to this, and this is parented to this, and all of this here are parented to this null here, and this is the position that is driving it. So it's just dragging everything up. So that's how I get to achieve this. And at this point where we have this here, so you can see that I have another pre-comp here. So if I go into this, so this is actually quite interesting. So I make sure that the composition is actually quite long. It's about 3000 pixel long. So if I zoom in here and then drag, zoom, drag, you can see that I have something like this, right? And the reason why I have this white thing at the beginning was to just show that break at the beginning, because I really want that transition to be really smooth. So if I go back here, you can see the reason why you cannot tell the difference is because it's white, so you cannot really tell. So it's looking as if it's breaking up. Just a smart way of handling that particular scene. That's exactly what I did here. And then if I take away this white thing, you can see that everything is just I have just this path animation. I have this path animation here. If I solo one of it, I believe I have to solo the two. So this is what I have. So I actually use some expression to make sure that this is going alongside with the trim path animation. If you want the expression, let me know. I think I will make it available, or better still, just get the project files. It will be in the link in the description, so you can take a very good look at it. And I have this simple burst in here. So these are the two circles responsible for that, and I just automated the scale and the opacity and duplicated it, and that's how I get to achieve this. So that's basically how I get to achieve this. So let me go back, and what I practically did was to duplicate and then flip the other one horizontally. With this, it gives us this. So if I zoom out a little bit, and it goes this way. All right, so that's how I get to achieve this. So let me zoom in some more. Yes, that's how I get to achieve this. Just come in here, and if I go back, yeah, and this is what I have. And so let me go back to fit. Now to the next scene. Now I want these two circles to come together. So basically all I did was to see where this ends here, and then make sure I have two circles. So this is like the next scene now. These two circles that are on the same frame with this. And from here, I just wanted to have something that come together and burst into different things. So it's just simple position animation that I did here. And of course, I actually have to use my speed graph with with the graph and the values here on the composition. I can't remember what it's called, but if you want to achieve something like this, so let me just quickly open a new composition so you guys can see what I'm saying. Let's say I have a circle with this. All right, so I have a perfect circle now. So if I really want to do that kind of animation where it moves like in a curvy way, right? Not like in a symmetric way, but in a very symmetric way. Practically what you need to do is I'll set my position here, go forward in time and set this here. And by so doing, you can see that it's not curved. All I need to do is just right click. I'll make it easy ease first, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, and then it's still not giving us those handles, and then I'll now right click again, go to keyframe interpolation. I can now change this to either continuous bezier or auto bezier, and I think this bezier also work as well. It depends on the kind of thing that you want, and because I choose that option now, I can have access to something like this, so it will now move accordingly, right? And then with this, you can now go to your speed graph and then do all sort of things with it. So let's say you want it to just go really fast at the end, and I can do something like this, and yeah, that's practically how you can get that done. So let's go back to what we're doing. So practically that's what I did here. Make sure that I put the circle where the last frame stops, and then I have this coming together, slamming together. So if I activate the rest, let me uncheck all of this. So if I bring in the rest now, so here I already have the text coming in. So this is just simple text, and I use random fade up for the text. Yeah, I think I put it in the mask, and when this is coming together, I just use the marks that I apply on the text to just wiping into it, so it can look like it disappears or forms into those balls. And that's basically what I did. And at this point, if you check my graph editor, you can see that everything is at like the steep end here, so that you can do smooth match cut into the next scene. And then at this point, I just have the rest of the balls coming up, right? You can see. And if you also check, I can check all of this apart from this image here, press U, highlight all of this, and you check the speed graph. You also notice they're also at the steep end, because I wanted that plot to look like it's exploding. So that's like the whole idea. So this explodes, and then all of this was done manually using the position animation. So I think I have like an reference image here, just to be sure. So I have like a reference image. So this is the reference image here. I'm soloing it now. So this is the reference image here. So particularly what I did was I try as much as possible to make sure all the circles that I have, as soon as they exploded, they follow the reference image. Like I'll make sure, so even though everything's all going around, I make sure that all of this, the reference actually give me like a guide to make sure the balls move in circles basically. Let me uncheck all of this so I can keep seeing what I did here. Yeah, all of this was position animation. Then I actually had to adjust some of the keyframes a little bit so that you can have some might have the delay and all, and that's practically what I did here. While I'm doing this, I also review the text. Leave you, and the text reveal is just quite simple. It's just where is the text? Yeah, this is the text here. It's just simple blur with opacity animation using the text animator tool. So if you want to have access to that, you go to the animate, you go to animate, and then you add your opacity to it, and then add blur to it. You can, if you want more details on that, let me know in the comment section. So this is where I have the text here, and if I go back to what I have down here, you can see all of this was manually, like I actually had to manually animate all of the circles, right? But at this point, I know that I wanted the balls to drop. So some of the balls, I was able to get them to just go straight from here. You can see all these ones down here. As soon as they get to this point, I made them drop. So let me show you my graph editor, so you have an idea of how I get to achieve all of this. So this is how I get to achieve all of this. I practically use speed graph for this. Normally I normally use my value graph because it's easier, but since I needed the the spline and then the movement, I needed to edit the way it moves on the lines here, right? That's why I needed to use my speed graph. Yeah, with this, all this ball falls to the ground, right? Apart from this two up here, which I needed to break apart. So if I click on this, you can see this particular one. So when it gets to this point, I needed to break them apart because I wanted them to fall in later. Those ones dropped, and yeah, the reason why I actually separated those two because I needed to do another kind of animation on those ones. So, and if I click on this, okay, this is null. So I actually used null to animate them, right? Because they had so many keyframes on. So I use null to support the animation. If I press U on this, U on this, so this is null here. You can see the way I made this happen. If I click on this too, it's practically the same thing. So it's very tricky, but I was able to pull it off. So in achieving animation like this, you would need your graph editing to be on point. It has to be on point, and it will take time because a lot of adjusting, keying. So if I like this now, for instance, and open this for speed graph, I don't think it's doing much, but now I think this is where I use my value graph. Yes, so this is where I get to use my, and if you also notice, I separated the X from the Y. So if I just check the X, this is what I have. I check the Y, this is what I have. I was able to do the bouncy animation, so it was really quite interesting. Yeah, if you want to do a bouncy animation, you don't know, make sure you check out my YouTube. I actually have a bouncy animation, so let me try and bring that up. Yeah, so this video I was talking about, so if you go to my YouTube channel, I've done something to bouncing animation, right? How you can get to achieve something physics correct, the bounce correct. So I actually broke things down really well on how to achieve bouncing animation, and to really give you a really good idea of how I get to achieve those really bouncy animation that I did in the project. So I just needed to show you that. So make sure you do check it out. So let's keep going. So I have this drag down, and here you would probably think everything is just going down, right? But here I've already set up my next composition. My next scene is already down here, like I showed you before from the storyboard. So I needed it to just drop. So right now it's really not as if maybe the entire thing is moving up or going down. It's just, I'm just trying to sell that reality to you, because particularly what I did was, let me see the text. Yeah, so this is the text. So I animated the position of the text going up, right? So it's giving that illusion that the entire scene is coming down, but the text is literally going up, and then the balls are also coming down. So that gives that illusion that it's actually dropping. And then when that happens, the other scenes were introduced. For these 3 lines here, this is what I use. It's just simple shape tool that I use to achieve that. So these are the it's just simple path basically. But one thing I did was when the ball bounces on this, right? So all of that was just simple path animation. I just animated the path, see how it bounces, see how it interacts with the ball, and then the same technique, everything is just going up. If you look at these balls are attached to the text, my piece. Yeah, okay, this I leave. Okay, so this was actually attached to the previous text so that it can be perfect as it comes in, and I have this ball bouncing, and then all of this was just simple sphere like I've created in Illustrator, and I just added those balls coming in to sell that illusion. And basically this particular one, I think I actually use, let me see. Okay, so actually use plugin for this to sell this depth. If you see, all of these are attached to a null, and then we also have a parallax null here. If I press U, you can see, and I used this Swiss knife from Motion Design School. So let me quickly bring that up. Yeah, so Swiss knife, and they have one of the panel here is called Parralax 2D, and with this, if you just select all the layers, it will create the null for you, and then by the time you do that, you're able to create something like this with just just simple position animation. Everything is already attached to this, so I was able to really achieve that illusion that there's a little bit of 3D dimension thing going on here. So try and check it out in Motion Design School. It's really nice plugin. And then you can see as they fall, and practically what I did was just split the layers and then bring them all together at this point. Yeah, I just have all of them fall. I think I use normal position animation as well. If I press U, exactly. So normal position animation falling, and I actually have to stagger all the keyframes to make that work. And when that happens, I cut to my next scene, and my next scene is actually quite interesting because this is where I actually have to use another plugin, Newton. And Newton is actually quite good for physics. And if I open this up, you can see this is where I have all of this, and I needed to create a composition that is so long so that by the time this is dropping in, it's dropping in within the composition. And if I press A and U, can you see what I have here? So all of these keyframes was generated by the plugin. If I have to do this manually, I can actually do this manually, but trust me, it will take a whole lot of time, and I don't want to do that to myself. So I needed to use the plugin. So let me show you how the plugin works in a bit. So let me just cancel this and then duplicate this, duplicate this, duplicate. Let's work with these 3 circles. So all I really need to do, if you install the plugin correctly, is to go to composition, and I'll click on Newton, and then this is what I'll have. Practically all I really need to do, if I press play, for instance, everything will just go down, right? In this instance, I need to create like a floor. So by default, everything will just go down to work on the physics. And one other thing you can do is you can also assign the kind of physics you want. So for dynamic, works pretty fine. That's what I need. But right now, I need to create a floor. So let me go back to my composition and create a floor. So I'll come here, let's say I'll create like a rectangle, and yeah, I'll name it my floor, and I'll just leave this one as it is, and then maybe I'll change the color of this one to yellow. So let's now go back to Newton. I'll go back to composition, click on Newton, and then if I press play now, by default, everything just goes down. But what I can do, I can assign the layers, the kind of properties that I want. So I can click on my floor, and then I'll now change this to, let's say, static. And by the time I play this now, everything all bounces well, right? Well, beyond that, you can also increase the density so increasing the density of this one will not make any sense. I'll just select any of these balls, increase the density a little bit, reduce the friction or increase the friction, increase the bounciness. And you can literally have different kind of property for each of the balls. And if you play this right from the beginning, you can see that some properties are actually more bouncy. The one I added more bounciness. Can you see the way it's interacting? And then when you're done, you will just click on render, and to render it and to be in your composition. So if I come here now, and I think this is it. So this is what I rendered out, right? It will just come in its own composition. If I highlight all of this and press U, can you see all the keyframes that's generated? So Newton is actually really good. I know there are other ones out there, but I use Newton. So let's get back to what we're doing, and that's how I get to achieve all of this, and then have this simple text animation in there. But one other thing I noticed was I couldn't rely on this all through because I needed this extra ball here. So if I go back here, you can see that even from the composition, I needed to even add 2 more balls. So if I added this, can you see even when I play? So I needed to even still animate 2 balls manually and to really fit into the composition, right? So these 2 balls up here was something that I needed to animate by myself. You thought maybe everything is Newton, but the last 2 balls there, I did that all by myself. And like I said, if you want to know how to do bounce animation, I've actually showed you where you can learn that on my YouTube channel. So make sure you do check it out, so you know how to do cool animation like this. So this is my keyframe, and if I open this up, go to my graph editor, you can see my value graph, how I get to achieve it, right? So there's no hard rule to this. It's just a matter of keep tweaking until you get what you really want, and that's how I get to achieve this. And then I put everything in the null. That's why I have this anticipation. Everything is pushing in before I go to the next scene, and this next scene was quite interesting. Basically, yeah, this is the ellipse that usher this in and bring this transition. This is the background. By going into this is where I have so many layers here, like so much layers. If I have to check this, right, it's so crazy. If I press U, I don't think I have any animation on them, thankfully. Or if I press EE, yes, I actually have wiggle animation added on everything. So it was quite something when I was working on this, right? Because there were so many layers that I needed to work with, and I needed all of this to be shaken in a way, right? In short, I didn't even do it all through, because you can see there are some more details down here than here, right? Some are still like in the boxy way, so I couldn't even do it all through because there's so much. If I had to do it, it even bogged down the entire After Effects, so because that's so much expression, right? So that's of course these are just the dots, and I just animated the scale, scaling, scale out to introduce these other elements. These are just simple scale trim parts to just bring all of this in while that is happening. And of course the text are just simple fading character text presets, and then have this a little bit of anticipation and overshoot, bring this in, and then of course bring all of this in as well. Basically the concept here is just animate the scale and rotation and then offset. Basically that's practically what I did. I have a little bit of overshoot on the scale, like when they come in. That's how I get to achieve all of this really looking interesting. Even the transitions, same thing. And then what really makes this part work so well is just the design, right? I was really happy when I came up with the design. I was so happy with it. And yeah, you can see all of this scaling in, scaling out with the use of the null, and then at the end of the day I cut the sound to the end frame. So that's practically it. The other things I have is just the color correction, final color correction that I use on this. So if I can check this, so the first one is just curves effects, which is just color correction, while the second one is just noise, and the third one is just the sharpen effect. That's how it gives this a little bit of a kind of a unique look. It's not just plain, and that's how I get to achieve all of this. Like I said, if you really want to go deeper into all of this, make sure you check the link in the description to get the project files. If you are getting the project files, you'll be supporting me to keep doing this, and I really appreciate if you do. Yeah, I really hope you do enjoy that. I really hope you're able to learn one or two things from this video. If you do, kindly let me know in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer your question, or if you need clarity on anything, right? Don't forget the project file is in the link in the description, and make sure you do subscribe if you are new to my channel, and click on the bell icon so I can get real-time notification from me. Right now I think I just drop videos once or twice in the month, but I want to do this as regular as possible. Just let me just put it out there. I'm a motion designer. I work with brands, so I'm not a full-time YouTube creator, but I try to do this as much as I can to help you as much as I can. So guys, I will see you guys in the next video, and take care.